That decision is wrong.
Repeat yourself.
My name is Marcia Johnson. I'm part of the Ethics and Sustainability Consulting team, and what you're proposing will devastate entire communities while pretending to be efficient.
No one spoke in the boardroom unless Kim Jun Choi invited them to. The 72nd floor of Choi Global Holdings overlooked the beating heart of Seoul glass, steel and power stretching endlessly beneath the morning sun. Inside, the room was sealed in silence so thick it felt ceremonial. Executives sat stiff-backed in tailored suits, tablets glowing faintly before them, breaths shallow and careful. At the head of the table sat Kim Jun, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed in charcoal gray. His presence alone bent the room around him. He didn't raise his voice, he didn't need to. Authority radiated from him like cold. "Proceed," he said calmly. The presentation resumed charts, projections, numbers stripping thousands of employees into percentages and profits. A regional director cleared his throat. "With the closures finalized, we project a 32% increase in Q4. That decision is wrong." The words landed like a gunshot. Every head turned. Kim Jun slowly lifted his eyes. The speaker stood at the far end of the table, hands resting calmly at her sides. She wasn't Korean. That was obvious. Her skin was deep brown, luminous against her cream blouse. Her face was striking, not loud beauty but composed, intelligent, unapologetic. Her dark eyes didn't flicker. They held his. Silence followed, thick, stunned, dangerous. Executives froze. Someone subtly shook their head at her. Another mouthed stop. Kim Jun leaned back slightly. "Repeat yourself," he said. The temperature in the room dropped. "My name is Marcia Johnson," she said, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her chest. "I'm part of the Ethics and Sustainability Consulting team. And what you're proposing will devastate entire communities while pretending to be efficient." A sharp inhale echoed from somewhere. Kim Jun's gaze sharpened. "You were not invited to speak." "I was invited to review," Marcia replied. "And silence would make me complicit." That was when fear turned to shock. No one interrupted Kim Jun Choi. He studied her for a long moment. Her posture remained straight. Not arrogant. Not submissive. Just firm. "Do you understand?" he said quietly. "Who are you speaking to?" "Yes," she answered without hesitation. "A man with power. And therefore responsibility." The room held its breath. Kim Jun stood. The movement alone caused several executives to flinch. He walked slowly toward her, his polished shoes echoing against the marble floor. He stopped just an arm's length away. Up close, he was intimidating, tall, sharp-jawed, eyes like winter steel. Men feared him. Women admired him from a distance. Marcia didn't step back. "You think courage makes you valuable," he said. "It doesn't. It makes you expendable." "Then fire me," she said softly. "But the truth will still stand." For the first time in years, Kim Jun Choi felt something unfamiliar coil in his chest. Not anger. Curiosity. The boardroom waited for destruction. Instead, Kim Jun turned back to the table. "The meeting is adjourned," he said. Shock rippled through the room. Executives gathered their things quickly, avoiding eye contact. Within minutes, the room emptied except for Kim Jun and Marcia. The doors closed with a quiet click. "You should be afraid," he said, not looking at her. "I am," Marcia admitted. "But fear doesn't own me." That answer followed him long after she walked out. Kim Jun stood alone in his penthouse, city lights bleeding through the windows. He'd closed billion-dollar deals without blinking. He'd crushed rivals and slept peacefully afterward. Yet now, he poured a drink and didn't touch it. Marcia Johnson. Her voice replayed in his head. Not defiant, honest. Not reckless, principled. Why had he let her walk away? Why did her eyes look like she already knew him better than anyone else? He clenched his jaw. "She's a problem," he muttered. But problems could be eliminated. So why did the thought of never seeing her again feel like loss? Marcia sat on the edge of her small apartment bed, hands trembling now that she was alone. She exhaled shakily and laughed under her breath. "That was insane," she whispered. She'd probably ruined her career. But as she stared out at Seoul's glowing skyline, she felt something else too. A pull. As if by speaking up, she had stepped into a story far bigger than she'd intended. And somewhere in the city, the cruel CEO who had never been challenged was already unraveling because the black woman who dared to stand her ground had awakened something he could no longer control. Marcia Johnson did not sleep that night. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the boardroom, felt the weight of 100 stares, heard Kim Jun Choi's voice, calm and lethal, asking if she understood who she was speaking to. By morning, Seoul was wrapped in gray mist. She dressed carefully, choosing a navy blazer and black slacks, armor disguised as professionalism. As she stood before the mirror, she squared her shoulders. Whatever happens, you spoke the truth. The elevator ride to the 43rd floor felt longer than usual. When the doors opened, the atmosphere in the office had changed. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Eyes followed her. Not admiration. Pity. Marcia, a colleague whispered urgently as she passed. You should prepare yourself. For what? For everything. Her email inbox confirmed it. Meeting request executive level time. 9:00 a.m. location. CEO office. No subject line. Her pulse thudded in her ears, but she didn't hesitate. She gathered her notes, lifted her chin, and walked toward the executive elevators. The ride up was silent. Her reflection stared back at her from the mirrored walls, calm on the outside, racing on the inside. The doors opened into quiet luxury. Kim Jun Choi's office was vast and minimalist, dark wood, steel, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. Power lived here. His assistant barely looked at her. He's waiting. Marcia stepped inside. Kim Jun stood near the window, back turned, hands clasped behind him. Without his suit jacket, his presence felt even larger, broader, and unavoidable. You're punctual, he said. You asked me to be. He turned slowly, eyes unreadable. Do you understand the position you put me in yesterday? I do, Marcia replied. And I'd do it again. Pause. Interesting, he murmured. Most people beg at this point. I won't, she said quietly. I don't believe in begging powerful men to do what's right. Something flickered in his eyes. Annoyance, intrigue, something else. He walked toward his desk and pressed a button. Sit. She did. You challenged my authority in front of people who fear me, he said. You undermined a decision that took months to construct. I questioned its ethics. Ethics, he repeated coolly. Do you know what ethics cost in my world? Yes, she said. Human lives. When ignored. Silence stretched. Kim Jun leaned back, studying her like a chessboard. I could terminate your contract, he said. End your career in Asia before it begins. Marcia's chest tightened, but her voice stayed steady. Then do it. His brow furrowed slightly. You don't value your ambition? I value my integrity more. That was when something shifted. Kim Jun exhaled slowly as if fighting an internal battle. He moved to his desk, opened a file, and slid it toward her. Explain this. She glanced down her own report. The one she'd submitted quietly weeks ago. The one no one had acknowledged. You read it, she said. I read everything, he replied. Their eyes met. Your projections were accurate, he continued. The layoffs would trigger long-term losses. So you knew, she said softly. Yes. Then why? Because leadership, he cut in, sometimes requires appearing cruel. Marcia stood abruptly. No. Leadership requires courage. You already have power. Cruelty is a choice. The words hung between them, dangerous and intimate. For a long moment, Kim Jun said nothing. Then, you're not fired. Her breath caught. Instead, he continued, you'll work directly under me. Marcia blinked. Excuse me? I want your perspective, he said evenly. I want someone in this building who is not afraid of me. That's a terrible idea, she said honestly. A corner of his mouth twitched. On the contrary, he replied. It's the most interesting decision I've made in years. She hesitated. And if I challenge you again? Then we'll see, he said. How much truth I can tolerate. Marcia left his office unsettled because this wasn't punishment. It was an invitation. Kim Jun remained in his office long after night fell. He replayed her words. Her refusal to bend. The way she looked at him not as a god, not as a villain but as a man capable of better. That was dangerous. People like him didn't change. Yet as he stared out at the city lights, one truth burned unmistakably in his chest. Marcia Johnson had become more than a consultant. She was a disruption. And Kim Jun Choi was no longer certain who would survive it. Working under Kim Jun Choi was nothing like Marcia imagined. It wasn't loud. It wasn't chaotic. It was intimate. His private office suite existed in a world apart, quiet, controlled, stripped of excess. Every movement was deliberate. Every decision calculated. And now Marcia Johnson was inside that world. She sat at the long table opposite him, reports spread before her. Kim Jun reviewed documents in silence, sleeves rolled up, strong forearms resting on the polished surface. The room smelled faintly of coffee and steel. You're hesitating, he said without looking up. I'm choosing my words, she replied. Don't. She exhaled. Your overseas expansion plan is brilliant financially. Morally, it's reckless. He finally looked at her. Most people stop being brilliant. That's the problem, she said. Instead of snapping, he really studied her. The way she leaned forward when she cared. The fire in her eyes when she believed in something. You don't soften your criticism, he said. I don't soften the truth. Pause. Do you realize how close you are to me right now? He asked quietly. Yes, she answered. And it doesn't make your choices immune. Something about that made his jaw tighten. They spent hours like that debating, clashing, circling each other intellectually. Marcia noticed things no one else did. Patterns, weaknesses, risks buried under profit. And Kim Jun found himself listening. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. By the end of the week, rumors spread like wildfire. Who is the black woman always in the CEO's office? She argues with him. She's not scared. Some admired her. Others resented her. A senior executive cornered her in the hallway. You should be careful, he warned. Men like Kim Jun Choi don't keep people close unless they intend to use them. Marcia held his gaze. Or unless they're being challenged. The man scoffed. No one challenges him without consequences. That night, she stayed late to finish a risk analysis. The building emptied, lights dimming floor by floor. When she finally gathered her things, she realized she wasn't alone. Kim Jun stood by the window. You work too hard, he said. So do you. I'm paid to, he replied. So am I. A beat of silence. You didn't have to accept this role, he said. You could have walked away. And let you continue unchecked, she asked. No. He turned toward her slowly. You're either very brave, he said, or very foolish. Which do you prefer? His gaze dropped briefly to her lips, then lifted again. Neither, he said. I prefer honesty. The air shifted. This wasn't a boardroom conversation. This was something else. Have you always been like this? She asked suddenly. Cold. Untouchable. He stiffened. Don't analyze me. I can't help it, she said softly. It's what I do. For a moment the mask cracked. People disappoint, he said. Control doesn't. That sounds lonely. He didn't respond. Marcia grabbed her bag. Good night, Mr. Choi. Kim Jun, he corrected. She paused. Yes. When you speak to me privately, he said, use my name. Her heartbeat skipped. Good night, Kim Jun. She left before he could see what that did to her. Alone in the darkened office, Kim Jun loosened his tie. He had built walls so high no one dared climb them. Yet Marcia hadn't climbed. She had walked through the gate. And for the first time, Kim Jun Choi feared something far more dangerous than rebellion. He feared wanting her close. Marcia Johnson had always believed in boundaries. Clear ones. Firm ones. Especially with powerful men. Yet standing beside Kim Jun Choi in the back of a black executive car, watching Seoul slide past the tinted windows, she felt those boundaries thinning like glass under pressure. They were headed to a private investor dinner. You didn't have to come, Kim Jun said, adjusting his cufflinks. I'm part of the strategy team, she replied. And you said you wanted my perspective. I did, he admitted. But this room won't be kind. Marcia glanced at him. Neither am I. A faint smile tugged at his lips before disappearing. The venue was exclusively low lighting, crystal glasses, powerful men speaking in hushed confidence. The moment Kim Jun entered, attention shifted toward him like gravity. And then there was Marcia. Whispers followed her steps. Some are curious, some disapprove. Kim Jun noticed. He placed a hand at the small of her back, not possessive, not forced. Protective. The touch sent an unexpected shiver through her. You don't need to babysit me, she murmured. I know, he said. But I want to. The honesty in his voice unsettled her more than the touch. Throughout the evening, Marcia observed quietly, watching investors exaggerate profits, hide risks, laugh too easily. When asked for her opinion, she gave it plainly. One man scoffed. Idealism doesn't run empires. Neither does arrogance, Marcia replied. It just destroys them slowly. Kim Jun watched her with something dangerously close to admiration. Later, on the terrace overlooking the city, the air cool and sharp, they stood alone. You enjoy provoking powerful men, Kim Jun said. I enjoy accountability. You're very good at it. She folded her arms. Why are you really keeping me close? His gaze darkened. Because you see what others don't, he said. And because you're not afraid of what you see in me. That doesn't scare you? It should, he admitted. The city hummed below them. People will talk, she said quietly. They already do. And when they turn on me? He stepped closer. Then they answer to me. The promise in his voice made her heart stutter. This is dangerous, she whispered. Yes, he said. It is. Their faces were inches apart now. The moment stretched electric, unspoken. Then a voice interrupted. Kim Jun. An executive stood at the door, expression tense. There's something you should know. The man glanced at Marcia, calculating. Your board has concerns, he continued. About her. Marcia stiffened. Kim Jun's jaw hardened. Excuse us, he said coldly. As the man retreated, Kim Jun turned to Marcia. They're threatened, he said. And threatened men are reckless. I won't apologize for existing, she replied. I don't want you to, he said softly. But I need you to be careful. She studied him. Careful of them or careful of you? He didn't answer. On the drive back, silence filled the car, heavy, loaded. When they arrived at her building, Kim Jun stopped her before she stepped out. Marcia. She turned. Whatever this is, he said, voice low, it's crossing lines. I know. Do you want me to stop? Her breath caught. No, she admitted. Neither did he. As she walked away, Kim Jun stayed in the car, staring after her. The cruel CEO had never allowed weakness. But the line between control and desire had already blurred. And someone, somewhere, was watching closely, waiting for the moment it shattered. The attack didn't come loudly. It came wrapped in politeness. Marcia noticed it first during the Monday executive briefing. The smiles were thinner. The pauses longer. Questions aimed at her weren't curiosity, they were traps. And what exactly qualifies you, one board member asked smoothly, to advise on decisions that affect billions? Marcia met his gaze calmly. Data. Ethics. And the fact that I'm not invested in pleasing anyone here. A murmur rippled across the room. Kim Jun watched closely, expression unreadable. After the meeting, an anonymous email hit Marcia's inbox. Subject. Know your place. Body, you don't belong here. Leave before you're forced out. Her stomach tightened, but she didn't flinch. Across the hall, Kim Jun stood in his office, reading a report his assistant had just handed him. Someone is leaking narratives to the press, she said carefully. About Ms. Johnson. His jaw clenched. What kind of narratives? That she's manipulating you. That she's unqualified. That she's a distraction. The word landed like an insult. Find the source, Kim Jun said coldly. Yes, sir. When Marcia entered his office later, she found him standing by the window, again stillness before a storm. You should tell me when you're being threatened, he said without turning. I don't need rescuing, she replied. That wasn't the point. She stepped closer. I've dealt with worse than anonymous emails. He turned his eyes dark, voice low. This isn't a classroom or a non-profit board. These men destroy what they can't control. So will you let them? Silence. Then Kim Jun made a decision that stunned even himself. They won't touch you, he said. Not while you're under my authority. Authority, she repeated. Or protection? He hesitated. Both. The room felt suddenly smaller. Later that day, Kim Jun called an emergency board session. Executives filed in, tension crackling. Marcia wasn't invited, but she watched through the glass walls from outside as voices rose and fell. You're risking the company's image, one man argued. You're allowing emotion into leadership, said another. Kim Jun stood. The image of this company, he said evenly, will not be dictated by fear. He paused. Any attempt to undermine my decisions or my team will be treated as sabotage. Eyes widened. That was a declaration of war. That night, Marcia received a call from Kim Jun. Have dinner with me, he said. That doesn't sound safe. Neither does staying apart, he replied. They met at a quiet restaurant tucked away from the city's glare. No suits. No assistants. Just two people trying not to admit how much the world between them had shifted. You didn't have to defend me like that, Marcia said softly. I did, he replied. Because they weren't just attacking you. She frowned. Then who? My authority, he said. Through you. She studied him. And what if protecting me costs you? His eyes locked onto hers. Then it costs me. For the first time she saw it clearly. Kim Jun Choi wasn't just intrigued. He was invested. As they stood to leave, a camera flashed across the street. Marcia froze. Kim Jun followed her gaze. Too late. Someone had seen them. And by morning, Seoul would wake to headlines that would change everything. The headline was everywhere by sunrise. Cruel CO spotted with mystery black woman, is she the power behind the throne? Marcia stared at her phone, heart pounding as articles multiplied. Blurry photos. Wild speculation. Comments dripping with cruelty. She slept her way into influence. Another foreign woman chasing money. He's lost control. Her hands shook not from fear but fury. By the time she reached the office, the building buzzed like a disturbed hive. Conversation stopped when she walked past. Some eyes held sympathy. Others held judgment. In the executive elevator, Kim Jun stood beside her, silent. "They're attacking you," she said finally. "They're attacking us," he replied. Inside his office, the door shut softly but the tension slammed. "You should step away," Marcia said. "Let the storm pass." "No," Kim Jun said immediately. "This will destroy your image." "My image was built on fear," he replied. "If it cracks, so be it." She turned to him. "You don't understand. For women like me, scandals don't fade. They stick." That stopped him. He studied her face, really looked at the weight she carried. "You're not alone," he said quietly. "I am if you don't listen," she snapped. Then softened. "I didn't come here to be your weakness." "You're not my weakness," he said. "You're my conscience." The words stunned them both. A knock interrupted. The board wanted him now. During the emergency meeting, voices were sharp, ruthless. "This relationship, there is no relationship," Kim Jun cut in coldly. He paused. "But there is respect." The room fell silent. Marcia waited outside, anxiety clawing at her chest. When Kim Jun emerged, his face was set. "They want you reassigned," he said. "Or dismissed." "And what do you want?" He looked at her. "I want you to stay." "Then you'll lose," she said. "Maybe," he replied. "But not my integrity." That night, Marcia walked alone through Seoul's neon streets, the city suddenly feeling foreign again. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Leave him, or you'll regret staying." Fear curled in her stomach. When Kim Jun arrived moments later, breathless, coat half-buttoned, she knew. This wasn't just politics anymore. This was personal. And someone was prepared to hurt her to get to him. Kim Jun did not sleep. The message Marcia had shown him burned in his mind like a warning siren. "Leave him, or you'll regret staying." This wasn't gossip. This wasn't corporate maneuvering. This was a threat. He doubled her security without asking permission. Discreet. Silent. The kind no one noticed until it was needed. Marcia noticed. "You can't control everything," she said as they sat in his car, moving through the quiet streets. "I can control this," he replied sharply. Then softened. "I won't let them touch you." She looked at him. "This isn't your burden alone. I made it my burden the moment I let you matter." The words hung between them, raw, unguarded. At her apartment, Kim Jun walked her to the door. The hallway was quiet, too quiet. "Come inside," she said suddenly. He hesitated. That would complicate things. She met his eyes. "They're already complicated." Inside, the apartment was modest, books stacked everywhere, notes pinned to walls, traces of a woman who built herself without privilege. Kim Jun absorbed it all. "This is who you are," he said quietly. "And you," she replied, "are not who you pretend to be."
Find out what happens in their relationship in the next episode, which is coming up soon. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story, please subscribe to our channel. Click on the notification icon so that you will get notified whenever a new story is posted. Also, leave us a like, comment, and share to others who love good stories.